Hey guys, Kyle the Otaku here, and welcome, you poor unfortunate souls, to the Shelf of the Damned. I'm a horror nerd, which if you've seen anything on this channel you are well aware of by now. Horror is my comfort genre. No, the irony is not lost on me. There's just something about horror that speaks to me. For me, it truly encapsulates the term movie magic, because for me, I feel like the horror genre is the place to go for the most creativity. Over the years, I've amassed a pretty humble collection of corpsey creeps to the point the genre has its own respective shelf. A shelf that I appropriately dubbed my Shelf of the Damned. I'm not joking, I keep a document of every movie that I have on that shelf, separated alphabetically and by platform. Overall, I have collected over 750 plus horror movies. That includes duplicates, but still, that number is pretty jarring. But after years of feeding soul after soul to the shelf, I've come to a staggering realization. The majority of the flicks I have on that damn shelf I've never seen. So I've decided to do something about that. This series is my personal journey through the bowels of the shelf. Bowels. So that I may bear witness to the tales of each forgotten specter entombed within its racks. Our first forgotten phantasm is an appropriate one. The Asylum of the Damned, aka Hellborn, released in 2003. And yeah, it is, quite the rough start. The Asylum of the Damned is a straight-to-video rental flick from 2003. The plot centers around an insane asylum that sacrifices their patients to a soul-collecting demon. If it sounds like I'm oversimplifying the plot synopsis here, trust me, I wish there was more going on. The film follows James Bishop, a babyface psychologist with a fresh PhD, and he's excited to use it as he nails a job working for the renowned Dr. McCourt. But the more time James spends at Meckert's Asylum, the more strange and bizarre happenings he begins to witness. Complete negligence and malpractice towards the inmates, messages written in blood on the ceiling, inmates going missing only for their bodies to be found later with a large burn scar on their chest, shaped like a huge palm print. Now, any rational individual would take a single side-eyed glance at all of that and say, you know what? I think my legally licensed practice could be better used at a different facility. I hear Smith's Grove is hiring. But not James, no. See, James has to dig into this mystery himself without the aid of law enforcement because he called dibs. The performances are serviceable, nothing Oscar-worthy, but nowhere near the level of Troll 2 performances. The only actor whose performance stands out is, well, the biggest name on the casting sheet, the late Tommy Lister Jr. Yes, Debo is in this fever dream of a film as a blind orderly with a heart of gold. He is also the only interesting character in the whole film, which is a shame since he has very little screen time. Everyone else is borderline and forgettable, even the Soul Collector isn't all that interesting, which is a bloody shame since the suit they made for the Soul Collector is pretty cool looking. There's just one itsy-bitsy problem with it. Earlier I called this film a rental flick. I don't say that because it's a straight-to-video flick, no. I call it a rental flick because it is clear that they banked on the cover of the box to do most of the selling for them. Look at that demon on the cover. Makes you think it's gonna be some kind of metal-infused horror joyride. Little did people know that they were getting something more akin to the Caterpillar coaster at the county fair. This cover sells you on the Soul Collector, and it makes you excited to see what it does in the movie, only for it to have less than 5 minutes of screen time. You see, the Soul Collector only appears when the Asylum cultists perform a soul collection ceremony. A ceremony they perform a total of 3 times. Every time it's the same. The cultists perform the ceremony, the collector appears through a smoky flood-lit hallway, he waves his hand over the victim, then we cut to a different scene. That was the gamble you had to face with rental flicks. You either got something worthy of the cover that you saw on the rack, or you essentially got scammed. And that's how I felt with Asylum of the Damned. I felt scammed. Totally not because I thought it was a different film that takes place in a demonic asylum, that's more fun than watching paint dry. Totally not that. I tried to give it a chance. I really did, but it commits the biggest sin a horror movie could commit. It bored me. Nothing annoys me more than a boring horror show, a genre I praise to high heaven for having insane creativity. Do not get suckered in by this cover. It will not be up to your standards. All of your expectations will not be met. So, will I be watching Asylum of the Damned again? Probably not. The plot is as dull as an old Spaniard sword from the 1700s laid to rest in the sea for 300 years. The performances are serviceable but forgettable, the monster isn't on screen nearly enough, and the film resorts to video store trickery to get even a single viewing. And for the unforgivable sin of boring me to tears, I banish the Asylum of the Damned back into the deepest, darkest pits of the shelf. Thank you for joining me at the Shelf of the Damned. I'm Kyle the Otaku, and this has to be better.